Can't you see it's my love for you makes me act as I do? You cannot leave here, Madeline. You know what would happen if you did. You know that. My dear, do not delude yourself. I beg of you, do not delude yourself.
Clearly, the big topic today is the elections last night. But for me, I like to draw parallels and things. And I find it very interesting how we Dolphin fans are in a similar state of how many Americans are feeling right now. Obviously, one guy got elected, one lady didn't. Trump is not a president, whether you like it or not. And we're all should be hoping that it's for the best. And the same with the Dolphin fans. I'm a little slow on things, but I did an innocuous podcast yesterday and lost a bunch of subs. And then I saw, obviously, all the thing going on this morning after the election, and it really dawned on me how there is just certain element of tribalism that can't be removed. And to think that it can be is almost, well, it is foolish in a sense. And so I did this little clip of Vincent Price to start this thing off because the Dolphins, I'm not here to talk about politics, it doesn't go anywhere, but politics, religion, and even what I'm finding sports talk for the most part, it usually doesn't end well in disagreements. So, but I want to talk to Dolphins fans. Whether you believe that Chris Greer is Phin enemy number one, like me, and you don't think this thing's going anywhere, or you think that we're on the verge, see what we did the last 2 weeks, McDaniels figured it out, and this has got to be the right direction. We're going to actually go to the Super Bowl, and all the people in between, which I think most people, we all have to hope that this thing ends well. And so I added the Vincent Price thing. I want to cover some of this matchup against the Rams, just in light detail to show, but key points to show you that we can win this thing, but we might not, but we have to, because what I said at the beginning of the season is that we're going to learn a lot about stuff, and it's going to be a final exam, but we've got to wait to the end of the season. I clearly don't think this team will do really well. But I saw in some comments, I said we're going to win between 7 and 9. And some of the people are nice, and they said, you got to be kidding me. Then there was one person who said, you're clueless that you don't see that we finally figured out how to break the too high and we're going to blow the world open. And so there is very strong divide. And it just seems like it's always that way for the Dolphins and the Dolphins fans. So I put the Vincent Price thing in there because if you, not the short story by Poe, which is amazing, but it was a pretty good movie, Vincent Price, the old time movie, but it was basically a brother who believes he's cursed, and his belief in cursing forces his sister to stay in the house, and then he ends up hurting her really bad and says the curse came true. And you can't leave one particular camp, his camp, say we're cursed, without being an idiot, and there's destruction coming over you, and you're forced to remain in a particular mindset. And so the mindset really is three of them. I just talked about it. We're doomed. It's over. It's clear. And we've clearly got a lot of hope. We got to stick with this thing, and we're going to actually go really far. And then this middle thing. But if you diverge from these camps, you kind of get kicked off the reservation. And it's kind of like the presidential thing last night. And it's kind of like the fall of the House of Usher with Vincent Price. And the guy in the Vincent Price movie, the fiance, was trying to play that middle ground and trying to break these two up, and ended up being destroyed. He ended up losing his wife, and everything was destroyed, and his life was a wreck at the end of it. So this Rams game is an absolute must win. Now, there's many steps towards proving to people that believe this offensive line is awesome, this team is awesome, Greer's got it right. There's a lot of steps along the way. And ultimately, they might be proved right, but it starts with this game. And this game is a winnable game for a few reasons. Doesn't mean we're going to, but it certainly means we must win. Now, I've tried to take a middle road. When I came here and started doing this thing, I was nervous as heck. I mean, I'm still nervous when I do this thing. But I said, I want to be honest to Phin's fans. I want to try to cover things in like an intellectual approach, which I'm a little bit of a Neanderthal, so it's not always easy. But I wanted to be fair, and I didn't want to say, this sucks and this is great and kind of get in the middle. But what I found is, especially for Dolphins fans, because they're so abused, I kind of wonder, and I'm not saying it's true, but it feels like Stockholm Syndrome, where in Stockholm, a bunch of people were kidnapped, and then psychological conditioning started happening where the kidnapped people started defending the kidnappers because they found them as their saviors rather than their kidnappers. So their mind flipped. And sometimes I feel like that's the way a lot of fans are with this ownership and regime. But even if it is true, this regime can change. They can get things right. Ross can do the right thing, whatever it is. We've got to let it play out because that's all we can really do. Just like Trump being elected. You can't change it. Just got to hope that this works out for the best. And so I've tried to be fair, and I wanted to be fair, and I wanted to, but the Dolphin fan base is so abused that it's very difficult. And I did an innocuous video, as I said, where I was like, listen, I want us to sell everything, but I kind of understand Ross not selling and not buying, just holding his ground. And hopefully that means he's trying to say, let's write this thing out and see if you guys got what it takes. And if not, then I'm going to make some changes. Now, it could be where he's just saying, hey, guys, don't worry, I'm not going to fire you. Let's try to get his best draft pick as we can so you can retire. Then that would be bad. But it seems like I lost a bunch of subs last night or today over it. And I took this middle of the road thing. And so I've come to realize, as I've seen my numbers drop and stuff, that Dolphin fans, they just want Tua sucks, everything's awesome, or something different than what I'm providing. And this is not my channel. This is their channel. This is literally their channel. I am on their channel. If they fire me, say goodbye, I got zero. And so I decided to give up what I was doing to pay the bills by doing this. And my decision to they wanted me to do all the teams, and I stuck with the Dolphins because I wanted to try to provide my fan base as best a cover as I can by focusing on them. And in the end, I find that the support kind of has diminished. There's still some awesome people out there. I mean, I still think I'm going to keep this job. I think there's like a base of what I'm doing now because I've taken on all the technological stuff. But it's clear that this Dolphin fan base is in turmoil, and maybe what I provide is not what is wanted, but I see in some other fan bases when I provide it, they kind of like it. So I'm never going to leave this Dolphin coverage because I love my team. I love my viewers. I love my fellow fans. I do. It's hard to understand unless you're like a New Yorker and you're a Dolphins fan as a kid. Then maybe, or from another state, But New York is hard because the Jets, Jets and the Bills are in the same state. So I'm not, but I've got to be honest. And so I'm going to definitely be covering all the teams going forward. Always my anchor is going to be the Dolphins. But guys, whether you're watching me or somebody else, you should appreciate different ideas as long as they're not presented in a negative manner. Because we've had a long history of duplicity. People hyping up this team, and then when that prediction or evaluation fails, they're not held accountable because then next year the hope is so tasty, they just want the hope. And I remember Omar Kelly got a lot of junk for many years, but I mean, people might not like him, but he provided a very important job by giving us counter ideas. So my point being is, guys, we are here at a clear crossroads. We beat the Rams, and you could put one check in a box for those who are very hopeful. And let's hope they're right. It'd be so much easier for McDaniel and Greer to be the geniuses that they tell us we are, we might want to hope to believe, because then you don't have to break this whole thing down. What does Ross do? He has a very hard time finding GMs. He has a very hard time picking football talent. He has a very hard time getting head coaches because of his history. To scrap this whole thing is, and to me, it's the only way to go, because I don't think this is going to make it. But even if you do that, it's the end is uncertain and the future is always near. Jim Morrison. It's a difficult road, guys. So let's hope that their fans are right. But you look, there's a lot of pros and cons to this game that make it sticky for us to win, but also offer hope. And I do see, as I'm going over the evaluations and watching the film, that we're finding it trending to the right direction by what McDaniel did last week. I don't think that if we win this game, we're the greatest thing since sliced bread. You got to let it play out. So, I mean, you look at this team, the Rams and the Dolphins, they lost Joe Noteboom, who's their best offensive lineman, their right tackle. And you watch it. He goes one-on-one while everyone gets protection, kind of like our Tehran. He's out. McClellan is put in there. He had a pretty good game against the Seahawks this week, but he's struggled for 2 years now, and he's kind of young and unseasoned. This is an opportunity, if you saw it shop, the way he was taking advantage of Dawkins, to do the same thing here. Now, we haven't generated a lot of pressure, but this is our opportunity. And Seal is coming back, and their offensive line is not that good, especially when you pull out a big piece. So that is a definite big thing towards the pro of us winning, and then starting that process for the fans that believe to prove they're right. But just because you win this week, it doesn't mean that you're right. You got to wait to the end. We can't collapse. This is all. We've got to win this game. It's the hardest of the next three. You got to beat Rams, Raiders, and Patriots. But then you go on the road to Green Bay, and that's where the truth will be told. But let's play this out as a unified fan base. Again, it doesn't mean come to my channel. If you want to come, come. If you don't, you don't. But let's all kind of be fan friendly, and even to the other channels that say, hey, maybe it's not going to work. Maybe it's going to work. Let's wait and see. Time will tell. Now, Rams like to play man. They did it against Seahawks, and they were burned. They don't have great safeties. They don't have great cornerbacks. They got, what is his name? Darius Williams, who's very good. But that's it. And their linebackers can't cover. They're not good. And so on turf, it's going to make our guys faster. And it's a great opportunity. I don't know how they're going to play us, but it's a great opportunity for us to come out and have a very big game and to win this game on offense. You know, people are happy, the points we put on the last 2 weeks, but I think we should put another touchdown on and won it for this team and uplifted a weaker defense that's injured. They're not going to be as injured this week. But if you look at the sides of the ball, the Rams offense is better than the Rams defense, sort of. So if you look at the Rams defense, 11th in rush yards and 25th in pass yards. So, but the way they can play us is, if you look at the Bills, they had to play all high. They didn't blitz, and we opened up the inside because they can't stop the run. Now, Jared Verse and Fisk, the rookie, if you watch Fisk, he's very violent. And that violence is going to work well, maybe not, against Brewer and Eichenberg. It's going to be an interesting test for those who believe that they're good or capable. He's going to provide that. He's going to be a little stout inside, but Jared Verse is a beast, powerful, and he's going against Jackson, who struggles against power. They're going to line up on the right side, probably have him go against Jackson, and so you're going to get a very big test of these three guys. Again, they're going to have a light secondary, and so you have to keep that in context when you evaluate, but if they can pass this one, they're certainly going to rip apart that secondary. But that's a dangerous little combo on the con side. Now, if you watch them, they're not a good first half team. And they make some really good adjustments. They have very good coaching staff. McDaniel did a great job scheming up and some things that, and people will say you're clueless. The things I've been saying for a while. Run inside, not outside. run inside. That's how we were able to hurt them, the Bills, this week, running inside. And then I said, you had to get the football to the running backs over the middle. And that stuff really put pressure on the Bills, and it gave us a lot of yards. He did a very good job with that. It'll be interesting to see how the Rams respond. But that second half, if you go watch the Rams, especially with Stafford, who's still pretty good, not as good, but he's clutch. So we got to see that second half, how to adjust. How does McDaniel adjust? How does Weaver adjust? How do they adjust? But that's going to be a good test for us. And if we can get this win again, then you got the Raiders, who are a mess. Tough, but a mess. And then you got the Patriots, who are on their way, but it's home. So this could string together 3 victories. And if we get those 3 victories, people are going to say, I told you so, you're an idiot. But then if we start flopping from Green Bay on, no one's going to remember that. No one's going to come back and say I was wrong. But let's hope that doesn't happen. But it's starting here. Now, you got to remember, too, that the turf is going to give us a boost. But then the noise factor. They don't really have many penalties. I think they're 13th in penalties, 13th in turnover margin. So our proclivity to turn the ball over and cause penalties is going to also play out. So are we going to beat ourselves? Or are we going to play tight and smart and let them beat themselves? I don't know. So their offense is 26 rushing attack, 26 pass rushing attack. Yeah, 26 rushing attack on offense. They got small running backs. Nate Boone's out. It's going to be worse. But they can pass the football really, really well. They're 9th. And again with Stafford, Robinson, Nakua, and then Kupp are going to challenge because you got Fuller, you got Ramsey, and then who's that third guy? It's going to stress us. Can we hold up? Our pass defense hasn't. There's reasons for that. It hasn't for a while. There's personnel problems. So this offense, again, is going to have to drive the football, put points on. They're only putting about like 21 to 25-ish. The 27 is going to be a lot better than it was with Arizona and the Bills, and it might be enough to win. But you want to get to that 30 mark, or 35 would be a certain win. So the weakness of their linebackers, the weakness of their secondary, aside from Williams, it's going to put a lot of things in our favor to win. And so the people who are saying, we can't win, were you kidding me that you think they're going to win? I think you're wrong. I'm not saying they're going to. There's a lot of things that go into it. But we have the opportunity to do this. Their matchup versus our matchup is not a good one. If they can't really run the football, we're not going to have to blitz and stack as much as we have, and we could put more guys in secondary to help that pass defense. But in the same token, they have the ability to attack with these 3 wide receivers. And if guys make breakdowns and they put points on, it can be a problem. We got to see how this thing plays out. So this game is absolutely critical, but it's one game. People saying, oh, the offensive line is awesome. It's doing fine. It's great. It's one of the best in the league. I was called an idiot last year, and we had the I'm sorry Eichenberg and I'm sorry Jackson and Butch Barry we trust. And then by the end of the season, it was gone. And people say, well, it's the injuries. Okay, it's only the injuries. All those injuries, those guys aren't here, and the guys that were replacing those guys with injured are our starters now. So how is that really an excuse? But in the end, it proved to be a correct evaluation by me. Does not mean it will this year. We've got to wait and see. But if at the end of this thing, if you got 7 wins, you crap out, even 8 wins, which is going to be tough to get to, this team should be dissembled. You've got to be clear on that. We need to come together in some fashion as fans to say enough is enough. And Ross needs to too, but we got to let it play out. If we have 6 wins or 5 wins and Ross fires Greer and finds the right guy, tip your hat to Ross and say, you know what, you've been a bad owner up until this point. Maybe not the greatest if you like him or whatever, but you did right. The same token, if he keeps the same crew after totally crapping out and we crap out again next year, then we got to know what we're about. But it's rationality. This whole mental gulag of my camp and my feelings, it doesn't serve anybody. It doesn't serve us as a nation. It doesn't serve us as a fan base. So I've tried to do my thing. I'm going to keep doing my thing because the ones that support me on this channel, awesome. But I do have to extend myself out in other areas for my sponsors who own this whole thing. And maybe one day my style will catch on. I don't know. But it's okay. You know, if you like other styles, that's good. But at least demand accuracy. You know, accuracy should count, and not just accuracy when you get it wrong and you said a team couldn't do something, but even wrong when, you know, we're going to Super Bowl this year, it's 100%. That should count in a negative as well. Accuracy has to count. It's got to be about journalism, or it's just going to be Vincent Price telling his sister, "You're cursed, and if you don't believe it, then I'm going to throw you in the casket." You know, and I'm going to doom you. So anyway, I hope it made sense. You guys are the best that support me. I appreciate it. We have an opportunity to do something, but it's a long shot, but it's there. And we can't get on anybody if they're being peaceful to you in having a different opinion. Everyone gets things wrong. I get things wrong. You get things wrong. Don Shula gets things wrong. Everybody gets things wrong. It's got to be the intent and then the level of accuracy as far as respecting that opinion. Anyway, hope you enjoyed. I'm going to be doing a live next week on Wednesday and Friday. Going to be upping my content to other teams while still being a Dolphins channel, because I love my team and I know a lot about them. And I feel like I can provide the best info for this team. But that's it, guys. Anyway, be well. Go Fins. Curtis out. Start building your own online sports book today by getting signed up with aceperhead.com service that'll allow you to book action on sports from all around the world.